Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the 30 on 30. Next stop, Fenway Park, Boston Red Sox. That's where we're going today. And we're going to talk about the Red Sox have won some. They're up there for the most World Series championships since the century in this century. So they've won out of the 2004 now. They've won 3 or 4 titles since 2004. So they've been a very successful team, and they're kind of undergoing a little bit of a transition. They did deplete some of their farm to bring in players like Chris Sale and some of these other guys. So, and with Sale being out last year, he'll be coming back. And they did trade away Mookie Betts and David Price, but they got some young, prospect capital in return. So they're kind of undergoing a transition too. They've got J.D. Martinez and a bunch of other, players, but they also have an outgoing class, if you will, like Jackie Bradley Jr. and some other players as well. But he's probably the most glaring one. So what I've identified as needs, by the way, I'm identifying needs, going with what I think a team should do and what I think a team will actually do, predictions for all 30 teams. That's the bottom line. If this is your first time to the channel, and welcome, by the way. Identified needs in the outfield, bullpen. I'm looking at my baseball book. Starting pitching and second base. Okay, particularly with Dustin Pedroia, he's getting older, and they need somebody reliable to go in there. So, what I think they should do is sign George Springer for the outfield to replace Jackie Bradley Jr. I don't see him coming back, and I think George Springer, he's a clutch hitter. And he'll be, one of the more big expenditures this offseason, but he'll go right in. He's playoff tested. He's got championship experience and a ring. He's clutch when it counts. He's a good, solid player, and he'll be an upgrade over Jackie Bradley Jr. So, and it would go a long way towards, revitalizing that team and that batting lineup too. So, that's what I have. I think they should do in the outfield. In the bullpen, I actually think they should bring in Liam Hendriks. Probably the premier power arm this offseason to complement what they already have. And I've said this in other videos, this is an opportunity to get depth. So you bring in Hendricks and you bring in someone else, even like a Sergio Romo or Tony Watson or whoever. You get depth pieces this year. You get people who can, back up the infield, back up the outfield. Because I think it's going to be very unpredictable offseason with, what's happened and with the economic state of baseball. We don't really know what's going on, but I would be willing to say that the spending is going to be a heck of a lot less than it normally is. So players who might normally get 4-year contracts might get 1 or 2, and it's unfortunate, but that's just the reality right now. So, and they'll put themselves back out on the market in a year or 2. That's just the way I see it. But again, crazier things can happen, so we'll see. Bullpen, like I said, Liam Hendriks and a secondary player as well for the bullpen. Get 2 guys. Starting rotation. I think they should go after Jake Odorizzi. He's just a reliable guy. He throws 180, 200 innings. He's out there every 5th day. Puts his team in a position to win. Plus, you'd be taking him from another American League team. It would be a good piece, particularly when now that Price is gone. You got to replace him with something. He's the guy to keep replacing him with. So Trevor Bauer would be the sexy pick, but I don't see him going to Boston. Could he? Sure, but with Sale coming back from Tommy John, he's not going to be a full strength, so I just don't see it. I see somebody like Odorizzi and somebody like Rich Hill. So older player, but again, can still go out there and throw. Whether it's long relief or starting, give them more depth. So you get bona fide number 2 or 3 in Odorizzi, and then you get someone else who is, a number 5 or a long reliever. But again, it gives them protection. Okay, that's what I think they should do. Okay, and in terms of second base, personally, I think they should make a trade for Whit Merrifield from the Kansas City Royals. One of the best second basemen in baseball. He is the face of the franchise over in Kansas City as well. He's beloved, but he offensively and defensively, he's a superstar. And I think he deserves to be put in a position where he can go to a contender and hopefully, contend for a world championship. And Boston would be the perfect place for him. They've got some capital to give up. And I think it would be a good trade. You can even make it a multiplayer trade. Merrifield and a pitcher, Merrifield and Soler, something like that. You can address couple of needs with one thing. So it's just a thought. That's what I think they should do. Now, what I think they'll actually do is different. I mean, and again, that goes for every team. Every team has, a bunch of needs, but they're only going to be able to address a couple of them this offseason. So, and what's crazy too, because some teams that have a lot less needs will double up on a bunch of things, and teams that have a lot of needs will unfortunately not be able to address a lot of them because of either players that they want being scooped up by other teams, or just not having the resources, or contracts not working out, negotiations, whatever it is. So it's a very unpredictable environment right now in Major League Baseball, unfortunately. But that said, people will still get paid. And players need to work, so they will take jobs, even if it's a one-year deal, and get back out of the market next year. That's something that they would do, so they can continue to play. Okay, I think they'll bring in. I think they'll bring in like someone like Michael Brantley instead of a George Springer for the outfield. Reliable player, good contact hitter, and he'll fit in that lineup quite nicely. And he's got that nice lefty bat too. I think he'd be a good fit there, and the pressure would not be as tremendous on him. I think Springer would come in and they'd expect him to be kind of like another, almost like a savior like JD Martinez. And I just see Brantley being a better fit, and I see Springer being a better fit somewhere else. Where, if you don't know, take a look at my MLB free agent predictions video, and I go over that as well. I tell you, I give my predictions for the top 40 players. It's in the description down below, as well as every team in the Central and every team in the West that I've already done, and a couple teams in the East. So, bullpen, I think they'll bring in somebody like Alex Colomé, I think it is. If I am mispronouncing his name, my apologies. Somebody like him and another reliever. Watson. I could see them bringing like Keone Keela. I could just see them bringing like a lefty reliever and a righty reliever. Now they've had when they're winning championships, they had a very, very good steady bullpen, and I think they're going to get back to a good steady bullpen. So I see them bringing in some like a Colomé and another pitcher, or potentially even trading for a relief pitcher. I don't think they'll trade for Josh Hader or anything like that, but they could trade for a solid relief pitcher. And there's quite a few of them out there this offseason, so you may not need to trade. You may just be able to get them in free agency. But that said, this is another area where I think they should beef up on, as well as a lot of areas, unfortunately. So, but again, they still have talent. They still have some depth. They just need a little bit more. Okay. Starting pitching, I actually see them bringing back John Lester. An old favorite. Even though they lowballed him last time and he went over to the Cubs, I think this would be an opportunity for them to kind of make amends and make it right. Maybe give him a one-year deal or a one-year deal with an option for a second year, and so on and so forth. And again, he wouldn't have the pressure of being an ace. I could see there being good interest, for him through a lot of teams, but I see the Boston kind of trying to make do and make right with how it left last time, about 7 years ago when he signed with the Cubs. I can see it. I can see him going to other teams too, but I can predict. I could see him going to Boston to kind of rekindle that relationship and compete for another ring. That's what I see. So those are the things that I see for Boston. Their outlook, my predictions, and again, I'm not making like ridiculously outlandishly flashy things. I mean, if I did that, I could just have the Yankees getting everybody. That's my team, but it doesn't make sense. It's not realistic. Nobody's going to do that, And I try to identify needs and the players that are good fits for teams to address these needs in a way that they can afford, either financially or in a trade without having to forfeit the entire, franchise. Because, I mean, aside from the ridiculous shortstop class that's coming out next year and a couple of available third basemen, who else is worth a huge package that's actually gettable this year or next? I don't see any. That's why I don't see any ridiculous trades, particularly by the Red Sox, being made. There's no need to forfeit some of those young, solid draft picks, high draft picks for, a non-difference making player. So, Arenado and Lindor, difference makers. Trevor Story, difference maker. But they have Sander Bogarts. Like, could they use upgrades in areas? Yeah, but we'll see what they do. They could surprise us and bring in Marcell Ozuna. Could happen. They could bring in George Springer, or I don't put anything past the Red Sox. I never thought they would sign David Price, but they did. And crazier things have happened. They made a couple of bold trades with the Dodgers, and again, there are a couple of teams now that have made it clear they want to cut payroll, like the Cubs and stuff like that, so they can go after a Wilson Contreras or go after a Yu Darvish or go after a Kyle Schwarber. hitting those home runs over Pesky. Like, they could do it. They could do it. So, and they're always willing to spend to win. So, that's my outlook for the Boston Red Sox. Let me know what you think. Please hit that thumbs up. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. It's really helpful to the channel. After today, we're going to move over to Atlanta. I'm going to talk about the Braves, the perennial playoff team, the young, dynamic team. So, look out for each other. Be safe out there. Okay, let's treat each other with love and respect. I'll see you over in Choptown State, Atlanta. Over and out.